Hey everybody, Mike with Enviroscape LA, here to talk to you about the 4 foundations of a great drip irrigation system. And I'm going to tell you, the reason I'm making this video is because there's a drought in California. It's very, very bad. And people hear that if you install drip irrigation, you can save a lot of water. I'm here to tell you that's true. However, one of the downsides to what's going on right now is that people are asking their gardeners, hey, can you go to Home Depot and just buy some drip irrigation tubing and install it, and I'm going to save water. Well, I'm here to tell you it's really not that easy. And if it was, I wish it was, because I want everybody, that's our hope and our aspiration is that everybody save water in Southern California. Our best source of water is conservation, but it's not with just going to local big box store and buying a little tube, a kit, and then just hoping everything works out for the best. I'm going to tell you what the professionals use, and I like to call it the 4 foundations of drip irrigation. Number 1, if you're going to install drip irrigation, you got to start out with the professional grade stuff, because you want something that's going to last. A lot of the big box companies, their business model is buy our stuff really cheap, let it break down, and then come buy some more. We don't want to do that. We want something that's going to last for many, many years. So what we like here at Enviroscape LA is the Rainbird system. They make a whole system. If you use their system, you should have decades of sprinklers, water conservation, saving water. And these days, with water prices going up, saving water means saving money. Okay, so we start out with the Rainbird system. The number 1, you've got to start out with the right valve. And then number 2, you've got to start out with the right filter. Number 3, air relief valve, and number 4 is a clean out. And I'll even talk about the tubing too, but that could even be a 5th foundation. But number 1, let's talk about the valves. Right now, these are the Rainbird irrigation valves, and one of the things is if you're using drip irrigation in a lot of applications, you want to make sure that you have the drip irrigation low flow valve. It's a special valve Rainbird makes. If you go to the big box store and you buy a regular valve, a lot of times the pressure is so low with drip irrigation that it needs high pressure to shut it off. But if you have low pressure going out, what'll happen is, bottom line is, the valve won't shut off if you use a regular big box store drip irrigation valve. So Rainbird makes the LVF, low flow valve. You install that and it's guaranteed that it's going to shut off when the timer says it's going to come off. We also like to use the Rainbird timer. They call it ESP, extra simple programming. You'd also think it reads your mind, ESP, but it doesn't. It's just very, very simple to use. But anyway, we start out with the Rainbird valve. Now down here, there's also, with drip irrigation, you have tiny little holes, so you want to make sure that you have a filter on your drip irrigation line. So this is the filter. These are what these little guys look like. Debris gets in there. You just wash it off, and you're good to go for another year. You do that about once a year, and you're fine. Screw that back on, and I just cleaned out my drip irrigation. Now, what happens if your filter is 99% effective? And I would say it's about 99% effective. Where does that 1% go? Over time, it goes to the end of the line. And when it does, eventually you can imagine that crud building up the end line, building up the line. Pretty soon it starts heading down the end of the line. That starts filling up your line. Eventually, your line's not going to work anymore. So we recommend at Enviroscape LA to do a clean out for your drip irrigation line. What I mean by that is, at the end of the line, you cut the line, you put a little stop valve on there, and once in a while you clean it out. I'll show you how easy it is to clean out. I'm going to turn on a valve here. We have a clean out right here. This is in the planter area. So let's say this is a brand new system, so it doesn't need it now, but a year from now, I just turned the valve on. There it is. It has crud coming out of it, or in a year or so, it should have crud. Now, it's interesting because the water seems to have a little bit of a bluish tint to it. And that is because we installed drip irrigation to the grass. How do you fertilize grass? Normally, you put little pellets down, and you let the sprinklers dissolve the fertilizer pellets. But in this case, there's no overhead spray. Right now the system is on, and there's nothing to water it from the top. So you could either use the pellets and spray it with a hose, which who wants to spend hours spraying it with a pellet? Or what you could do is you could install a fertigation unit, and what that is, it's a little bullet that it's a chamber that holds liquid fertilizer. You pour it in, screw the top on, it spice it into the irrigation system, so every time it waters, it fertilizes. Great system. How do you know that your gardener's fertilizing the lawn? You don't. So this drip irrigation, one of the beauties about it, you can actually splice in a fertigation system. This particular system right here, this is one we use, it's made by Easy Flow, and there it is. So when the system turns on, it actually pushes out just a little tiny bit of fertilizer. Great system, can be underground, so it's easy to use. Now we also recommend, if you don't have check valves in your irrigation, to put an air relief valve. What happens is, drip irrigation is like a big balloon underneath the ground. So when water pressure, when the valve says turn on, it pushes water at such high velocity that the whole system is like a big balloon. If it's not on, it's like a balloon, and it just goes poof. You do that hundreds of times, eventually the joints wear out. So we recommend an air relief valve if you don't have the check valves in the system. And then the air relief valve just lets all the air go out, and then water fills up. You'll never have a problem, and that'll ensure that it's just going to last forever. Now the last thing I want to recommend too is that the reason we like the Rainbird is because they came up with an ingenious idea. They put a little strip of copper every 12 inches. In the old days, people would ask me, can we do drip irrigation for lawns? And this was before Rainbird came out with their idea. And I said, yeah, you can. And they asked the number one question: how do you keep roots? Let's say if you have it underground for grass, how do you keep roots out of that the little holes where the water emits out from? Well, the manufacturers, if you check their literature, they actually say install a fertigation system. Instead of put a liquid fertilizer in there, you put herbicide. People in Southern California, they're trying to be more environmental. That's just not a good idea. We don't recommend herbicides at all. So we do recommend fertilizer though, but not herbicides. So with Rainbird, the big advantage is they put a little copper strip. What this does is it creates negative ions, it creates an acid that actually burn any root tips that actually try to get in. So it's sustainable. Now, is copper bad for the environment? Well, that's how most people bring water from the street into their house. It's copper piping, copper tubing. So it's an ingenious system. Nobody's come out with it. They've got a patent on it. We love it. We use it for the Copper Shield technology by Rainbird. We use it for planters. We use it for grass. It's fabulous. This yard will save at least 60% watering over a traditional sprinkler system. 100% effective. I mean, it waters just the root system. It's a fabulous product. I can't say enough about it. We're so proud that Enviroscape LA has partnered with Rainbird to make this technology possible. Also, the grass we just installed today, it's Marathon sod. It happens to do very well with the subsurface systems. So if you're hearing a lot in the press about get rid of your lawn, install native grass or install native plants, grass is somehow it's evil. No, it's not evil. What's evil is the inefficient watering systems that people put in, and they have runoff in the street. That's bad. Don't do that. Install drip irrigation. For more information, visit our website at www.enviroscapela.com or check us out on YouTube. Go into the search engine Enviroscape LA. We've got close to 1,000 videos on this. Okay, this is Mike from Enviroscape LA signing off. When you think sustainability, think Enviroscape LA.